Now it's time to repot my beautiful Cumquat Nagami. It's got some good form, yet to wire it up, but I want to put it into a bonsai-like pot. This is sort of quite deep. Normally a bonsai pot would be a lot shallower than that, but the citrus do like a deep pot, so we're going to do that. Traditionally I've just been putting them in big pots, growing them on and using a standard potting mix, and you can see it's quite barky. There's a fair bit of grit in there, sand, but very barky, whereas a bonsai mix, lots of sand. And the primary reason is for drainage, but also root division, because when the roots actually hit the sand particle, it divides. So the more finer particles of the root, the more uptake there is. So this is a beautiful blend actually. So this is one made by Osmocote. There you go, free promo for Scots. So there you go. So I'm going to get on with that now. So I've got a bit of gauze. There's not a very big drain hole in this, so a little bit of a worry. Normally a bonsai pot would have a fairly substantial drain hole, so we'll get rid of that. And we've got a little bit of water logging down on there, so we'll get some of the bonsai mix in there. So a bit of a layering there, and you always tamp it down. The thing is that a lot of people don't, and potting mix, whether you're doing regular gardening or bonsai, potting mix actually condenses. Good potting mixes actually have around 80% porosity between macropores and micropores. That's all the little air spaces. 80%, it's massive. So when you water a pot plant, you know how you're watering it for the first time, and so you're watering and you're watering and you're watering. That's a lot of water. That's going into all those little micro and macro spores. So check this for height. Way too high. And so we want to tiz this up. A little bit of clay in this. Just break up the surface so we put some fresh soil there. Now I could use these scissors to cut through some of these. Some of these are fairly substantial and they'll need trimming. I won't be able to splay them out. So I'll just root through those. You can see the size of those ones there. So there's one substantial one right there. Test that, see how they're going. Yeah, still a little bit tall. Go a little bit harder because we've reduced the top quite a lot with pruning the foliage, so there shouldn't be any issues at all. If you're doing other plants like ficus and the like, I mean, you can actually be so brutal with those. There's no issues at all. Just rotate that, just check. Yep, that should be fine. And those shears are designed for root pruning. So that's sitting a little bit proud, but look, I'm okay with that. So now I've just got to position it that, the trunk has to be, the exact right angle. So I've sort of got to try and get zoned into this plant. Where's the front? I might even go there. That looks like a pretty good spot. I'm going to actually mount it central because really I'm growing this on. I want to see how shallow I can go with the citrus. I've not done a citrus at all for bonsai, and the Cumquat Nagami is so suited to it. So I'm just using a bit of wood to try and tamp down the roots. That's mounted pretty central. I'm going to rotate it in the front anyway, but yeah, that's good. Okay, so now we will fill this in. We'll tamp this down. I mean, you don't overdo it. but you certainly do be firm. Now, one of the things is making sure that you do water it well. So the best way to water a bonsai is to actually submerge it in like a basin or a big tub or something like that until all the air bubbles disappear, and then you know you've watered it correctly. So that's looking pretty cool. A little bit more, so this is a beautiful mix. I've not actually used this mix before, so I'll have to transplant the rest of my stock into this. So you can see, you know, I tap down fairly firmly because it's going to settle anyway. And again, now once this is taken, and then I'll keep on the hunt for a good actual bonsai pot. And this will do for quite some time. I'll have a look at what I'm going to surface this with. I may use moss, but you can see, looking at the front, hopefully I'll get the angle right, that's looking pretty good. Now, I'll give that a water in, and then actually I might even jump straight into wiring it before I water that in, just so it's got a little bit more firm. But I'll close the video off now and I'll give you an update later. Happy bonsai. And there's the Cumquat Nagami wired up in its large bonsai shape pot, and I've got to say, I reckon it's looking pretty stellar. I've only got 3 wire runs on it so far, and I'll add a few more, but geez, it's got good form, and the tapering is pretty epic too. So yeah, look, I'm pretty wrapped, looking good.